Hi, my name is Bronwen, and I'm here to tell you about this lesser-known position in the theater world that is the music assistant. So a music assistant is generally hired for new musicals exclusively or revivals which have new elements to it. This is because your job as a music assistant is mostly to keep track of changes in the score. So you might work on a show either in a workshop if it's in development or going into production. And just an FYI, new musicals go through about 7 years of development, so like from page to stage. And so as a music assistant, you may be involved in a workshop, like a 29-hour reading or something that's like a week long instead of a full production. It's worth noting that music assistants aren't hired everywhere. Your most typical location is New York, obviously, with Broadway and off-Broadway stuff, or theaters that specialize in new musical development, something like ART in Boston or La Jolla Playhouse in California. You can definitely also, reach out to theaters that may not generally hire music assistants and see if they need that kind of help if you see that they're developing a new musical. A music assistant's domain is really music notation, so you'll track music changes and put that in Finale or Sibelius, the most typically used notation software in the industry. You'll be in charge of organizing the sheet music, printing them if there are new changes for the music team or for the cast. There's also often transcribing work to do, and some copy work, which is making the sheet music look nice in terms of formatting and layout. And obviously there's a lot of communication with the music team, and the cast and really everyone else. What a typical day in the position entails. So pre-production, you may have to transcribe. If a composer has a new song, they may send a recording to you or a demo, and your job is to notate that, and put that into sheet music. Another big part of the pre-production work is to fix discrepancies between the score and the script, because often you'll have cue lines in the score and you have to make sure that it matches with what the script is saying. And during production or during rehearsals, obviously you're tracking changes. For example, if the composer decides to cut 8 bars, then you'll have to make sure that matches. You'll also have to track vocal assignments for ensemble numbers with a lot of harmonies. So you have to keep track of that. After production, assuming that your production has a band, I like to take band parts and see what notes musicians have written in them, make sure everything's finalized and ready for the next production if it's lucky enough to have one. How the responsibilities change in relation to production. This really depends on how hands-on your composer is, or composers are. Some composers like to write everything out themselves. Some people are more the recording type and have you transcribe things. It also depends on how many people are on the music team, whether you're working with a copyist, an orchestrator. If your production is sort of more in the later stage, and you guys have a band or something, it also depends on the kind of music that you're working with. For example, I worked with a group of actor musicians once who wrote their own music in a sort of folk style. So they didn't work with any sheet music. None of their music was written down. They just had recordings and chords written out. So that's just a different way of working and a different way of tracking what's happening in the music. So position-specific terminology, I would say PV is one. PV stands for piano vocal. And that's sort of what you're working with mostly in a typical musical. It's just a piano and vocal part, as opposed to like a full score with orchestra parts. PVs, actors will use this, the music director will use this. And I think the next one is patches. So these are just the different sounds that you assign to a keyboard part, for example. So a keyboard 2 part, might have an organ patch and then later a guitar patch, or electric guitar patch to be specific. And I would say, just get familiar with musical terms, and musical theater specific terms. When you see like a segue at the bottom of a score, you know what that means, which is just go directly next to the next song. Get to know what a marimba is, vibraphone, that kind of thing. Just, get to know those instruments that you may not typically see. Alright, so this leads me to advice. The first thing I would do is to get proficient at music notation and transcription. MuseScore is a free software, which may be good to get familiar with music notation if you're completely unfamiliar with it. I would also encourage you to get Finale and Sibelius as you progress further along, because they are the industry standard software. They are expensive, definitely an investment. But there's a student discount you can take advantage of, and I'm pretty sure that if you get Finale first and then get Sibelius is cheaper for existing Finale users. Something I did to kind of fundraise for these things was offering to transcribe or arrange things in return for a donation, so that way you kind of kill two birds with one stone. Yeah, you get to practice your transcription and notation, and also don't have to burn a hole in your wallet to get these things. There's also a self-paced class run by theatermusicdirectors.com, and it's taught by the wonderful Cynthia Meng, who has done a lot of music assisting on Broadway and is just a great human being overall. I believe it's priced at $47 right now, and you know, if that's not accessible to you, you definitely don't need a class to become a music assistant. Obviously it doesn't hurt to take a class and develop those skills. I mean, I learned a lot on the job, and you pick things up as you go, and you get a lot of help from people. And this brings me to the next thing, which is reaching out to people. I got so many tips from people who had done this job before me. There's a wonderful organization called Maestra. Their website is maestramusic.org, and they have a directory of women plus musicians in the musical theater world, sorry. You can email people just to say, you know, I'd love to know more about what you do, etc. And you can also ask me anything. You can get my email from Pocket Theater. And finally, if you want to dive in and just start doing music assistant work, I'd say reach out to emerging composers and say you're available for music notation work. Most composers would love help for music notation because they don't want to be bogged down by that. They just want to create. And you can find these people by paying attention to general theater news, you know, either on Playbill or Broadway Briefing, which is a daily newsletter with all Broadway/off-Broadway or regional theater news that you can subscribe to. You know, see who won awards or got nominated for things and may not already be working with a music assistant, and that's a really good entry point. Alright, that's all the advice I've got for now. I hope you found this video informative, and thank you for watching.
We hope this information was informative and helpful. If you still have questions, please leave us a comment at the bottom of this video or reach out to us on our other social media platforms. If you want to send us an email, find us at pocket.vr.theater@gmail.com. Have a great day.